They're trying to start the bird flu pandemic, and I don't really think that that's going to work, but they're going to try. They're really putting their eggs in the asymptomatic basket. So that's it. Asymptomatic spread is being tracked. Yeah, everybody's not sick. Oh gosh. What are your feelings on a draft? That's a hard no for me, dog. But the UK wants to institute it. Rishi Sunak, if he retains power, he's going to bring the draft back to the United Kingdom. So won't that be fun? Oh, do you want to go to a trench in the Ukraine? Yes, please. No, thank you. Trump talks Bitcoin and central bank digital currency. And but first, there's lots to get to. Let's get to it first. We're going to start in Germany. And Germany's got this nice little song that everybody's singing. Foreigners out, foreigners out. Deutschland for Germany, or Germany for Germans, or Deutschland for the Dutch. Right. You'll hear it when they say it. Out, foreigners out. Basically, here's the song. It's very catchy. So, I mean, it's a club hit. It's a thing everybody can just kind of sing together on the street, and they are disclosed TV. I almost started the show with that, but it's very difficult to coordinate pushing play in 3 different spots. I was going to have to cut it all down, and I just don't have time this morning. So it would have been a good joke, but I just didn't have time. So sorry. And maybe it would have gone unnoticed because while it's kind of a kitschy thing, I don't know, it's got a good beat, but without the context. Anyway, Disclosed TV says viral video shows young people singing German for the Germans, foreigners out on the island of Sylt, Germany. Sorry if I'm getting that wrong, probably getting it wrong. And Wall Street Silver is highlighting this German DJ, and she says the song is spreading in Germany. Politicians and the media are freaking out. Foreigners out. Germany is for Germans. Foreigners out, right? That's interesting. Now, when they say out, foreigners, I don't disagree, right? And somebody was saying, does that mean all foreigners? If you have this background or this background, you should all get out? And I think, no, anyone who's a non-citizen, there's gray areas in any kind of situation, and the gray areas need to be, handled with care, et cetera, humanely, and all the rest of that. But I don't think that we should have a situation where we've got courts that are backed up because there are illegals in Canada or wherever, Germany, that need to have a judge rubber stamp their removal. I think that there are ways that we can be humane about what needs to be done, but also get it done. And there are a lot of people who are singing this song, right? Bernie says Germany's in trouble. The forbidden song is sung everywhere in defiance of the Germans' repression of those demanding illegal migrants are removed and sent back. The usual suspects will call this right-wing extremism. It isn't. It's ordinary people saying no to globalism. And this is Martin, and he says, don't underestimate what's happening in Germany right now. Despite massive repression and penalties, the system is not managing to keep the forbidden song down. Normal Germans are singing it, and yeah, that's very interesting. Rich people party in posh club in Sylt. Poor East German boys in the village disco. There's no organization behind it, no campaign. That's what the population exchange elites are afraid of. They're getting nervous. While people are not wanting to put up with having their country just destroyed, decimated in front of their eyes. People don't like that, but they want a civil war. I've watched the first 10 minutes of Civil War, and I haven't seen more of it. It's very violent. Very violent. Haven't got there yet. We'll get there, I'm sure. Wall Street Silver says, Denver's mayor will provide illegal migrants with 6 months free rent. This is an American telling everybody what's going on. So this is analogous. We used $100 million to house migrants in hotels. I wish I was kidding. Here we go.
A little border news coming out of Denver, Colorado. As we know, Denver has taken in over 42,000 illegal immigrants since this border crisis has began, and it has been a huge burden on the city of Denver. At first, when the migrants came, they were living in tent shelters and it became too cold. The mayor moved them into hotels. They were staying in hotels for months and getting 3 meals a day. They ran out of money, Denver did, and they said, we need to move these migrants out. So the migrants were moved out and put in different shelters. A lot of them started sleeping in their own tents in the city of Denver. And a few weeks ago, the mayor said these migrants need to move out of these tents. They're making Denver look horrible. But the migrants had a huge list of demands before they would move out of their tents. Now this is what is going on. As of a couple days ago, the mayor called in a big group of migrants to one of the hotels, and he told the migrants, he said, 800 migrant families, you will be receiving up to 6 months of free rent, along with utility assistance and food assistance. He said they are working with a nonprofit group that will be teaching these migrants English, computer, finance, and also teaching them their rights to work in America, what their rights are to work in America, as they are all illegal citizens. They will also have a credential group giving them credentials in construction, retail, hospitality, healthcare, and in early childhood education. The goal of the city of Denver is that by educating these migrants, by teaching them English, it will help them to become better, productive citizens in the city of Denver.
I don't think that's going to happen, right? I don't think that's going to happen at all. People don't want to see their tax dollars going to pay for foreigners living in tents destroying their city. They just don't, right? It just doesn't make any kind of sense. Here's Mark Miller, who's the immigration minister. He says, great to speak with the FCCQ in Montreal on our shared priorities, including the importance of immigration in growing the economy. Importance of immigration growing the economy. And Darshan says, immigration grows the economy stopped being true in Canada a long time ago. Also, Minister Miller, can you kindly post the link to the recording of this discussion? They say things and then post these photo ops and say, look, we're fighting for you. But you means the foreigners who they're paying for, not the Canadian citizens whose tax money they're utilizing to pay for it all. And here is what happens if you want to go to a nude beach. Nude Beachgate is upon us. And GBH is sharing this from Reddit. Indians have truly speed ran themselves into the most hated group online. It's quite impressive. It's interesting. I don't know that the whole online hatred or whatever. I think people who are acting poorly in Canada are maybe giving Indians a bad name. How's that? Anyway, here's what's going on in an unnamed city, but I think it's Toronto. Groups of Indian men have ruined the nude beach, right? Erotic stories you didn't know you'd be reading in 2024. In my city, we have a famous nude beach that's been here since the 70s. It's always been a popular spot for all people to come and disrobe and be as nature intended. It was a huge spot for the hippies and has still been popular even today. Now, my girlfriend doesn't even want to go anymore because the last time we went there, there were large groups of Indian men, fully clothed in jeans and sweaters and shoes, just sitting around staring and ogling women. Not even just staring, many of them would either film them or go up and hit on women who are alone and naked. I'm not alone in this sentiment either. I saw a lot of posts on the city's subreddit about this last year, and now I'm just sad because it's beach season soon, and we can no longer feel safe going to my favorite beach because these gross groups of men that have zero respect. It's not like I don't expect men to glance or enjoy looking at a naked woman. I mean, obviously that's human. But to go to the beach specifically to ogle and make people uncomfortable, take pictures, and not participate in the culture by being nude yourself is disgusting. This is what's happening to us. We're fully losing our trust society, and it's becoming dangerous for women to exist here. I'm so mad about this. Yeah, it's one of those canaries in the coal mine, right? First, women and men can't have nude beaches, and then full Sharia law. Slippery slope, man. Maxime Bernier says, the bathtub is overflowing. Trudeau and Poilievre keep telling us the solution is to build more bathtubs as quickly as possible to hold the water. I say simple, turn off the tap. Right? I mean, is that not the solution? The obvious solution? Here is Ian, and he is sharing this. What first world city would you say this is? And it is a group of people attacking each other with machetes, which, not great. And the machetes are, it's not usually British men who are attacking each other with machetes. And it's Ian tells us where. He says, African asylum seekers slaughtering each other in the streets of Sheffield, United Kingdom with machetes, and the media doesn't cover it, just the absolute state of it. So there you go, right? So if the media doesn't cover it, did it happen? If a tree falls down in the woods, does it make any noise? And there's nobody there to witness it, right? Did it make any noise, right? So what's the sound of one hand clapping? It's right here. At least listen up. Concerned Canadian shares this. Trudeau is reaffirming that he will implement all of the sustainable goals of Agenda 2030. I ask you, is this what you voted for? So it's a climate changey kind of thing, but the sustainable goals also include the wholesale invasion and replacement of us through use of our tax dollars. And Trudeau's just leaning into that. So yeah, we're going to listen to Trudeau warning for about, I don't know, a minute. Here we go.
The SDG goals are what is necessary to create a successful planet, full stop, over the coming decades. If we don't get them right, then nobody succeeds. And the idea that any corner of the world, because you can build up a strong enough society to not be impacted by the rest of the world, well, that's gone out the window. We are all so interconnected. We have to know that the only way for us and our families to succeed is to make sure people on the other side of the world have the opportunity to succeed.
Have a say, did he say? So what we have to do is bring the Africans into Sheffield, arm them with machetes, and that's how we get equality. I mean equity, right? Give me a break. SDG goals. SDG goals again, and because this is an invasion, we've got to talk about house prices. I live close to where this is. This is Puss Lynch, and it's a trailer park, but it's like one of the few that operate year-round. You can live there year-round. Some people do. It's right close to the highway. It's actually quite a good spot. And so that the trailers here used to be like $100,000, and like when the houses were $250,000, you could get a trailer for $100,000. Not even like $70,000, right? Like the same one, like this one, right? 6 Elm Street. And Mark says $500,000 for a trailer. Welcome to Canada. Oh yeah, no, this is $500,000 home here. I'm quite proud of it. It's not a shack. If you call it a shack, oh my gosh. I had somebody not get upset with me, but they didn't know how to respond tactfully to me calling a World War I era house a shack, because I mean, like, it's not worth $500,000, right? If you're judging this thing by how much money you're spending, and somebody says, I have a $500,000 home, you don't expect a bungalow or with a 1.5, right? With 850 square feet, right? But, huge yard. You don't expect that, right? And a lot of them, like, this doesn't look like a shack on the outside, but it's just the fact that you're spending $500,000 on it. It's quite a nice trailer, but it's a trailer and it shouldn't be $500,000. That's the point, right? Like, Jeepers Creepers. So anyway, $525,900 for a modular home for sale, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and no garage, but it's got a lovely porch and a little outbuilding there. It's got a shed, Jeepers Creepers, and a hedge. So, I mean, there's a lot of pluses, but for $500,000, right? Does it have running water? Like I was saying as well, I was in a backyard barbecue, and I said, this is a huge backyard. I said, you could put 3 or 4 tiny homes back here. Tongue in cheek, right? And some people started laughing, overhearing it, and they said, yeah, but how would you power it? How would you get plumbing? I was like, plumbing? I was like, cheapers. Give them a chamber pot, man. That's it. Done. The rent is reduced because of the chamber pot. Or I guess you could give them access to the house, because you really don't want the chamber pot. The consequences of that would be yikes. Okay, let's move on. We've got a grab bag of governance here. Trina says Conservatives and the Bloc Québécois force a meeting to investigate Liberals' refusal to share foreign interference documents with public inquiry, says the Globe and Mail. Not shocking. I can't get any more color on this because it's a Globe and Mail article and it's paywalled. But Trina asks, what kind of racket are the Liberals operating? It doesn't sound like a democracy to me. So if they're doing a whole inquiry into the foreign interference and the Liberals keep a whole bunch of documents secret, how is that an inquiry at all, right? And why are we led to believe it's an inquiry when it's anything but an inquiry? It's when it's actually a cover-up, right? The foreign interference cover-up, in fact, has nothing to do with an inquiry. They're just making sure that the responsible parties end up, for some reason, being Galen Weston. Why? I don't know. That's Jagmeet Singh's favorite punching bag. Oh, probably because Jagmeet Singh's brother works for Metro. That's probably why. Harrison Faulkner was at the Bellevue House in Kingston for the Unpacking McDonald tour. The Unpacking McDonald tour teaches people about racism and sexism in Victoria, Canada. Wish me luck, he says. First stop on the tour, a board with unattributed quotes about MacDonald. We wouldn't have had a Canada without him, is one of the quotes. He was a monster, is another, I guess. He was a monster versus we wouldn't have a Canada without him. Huh. Here's first plaque inside Bellevue House. Here's a quote. You'll encounter difficult stories about the past and be invited into discussions and moments of personal reflection about how Canada's future can be more inclusive. If we don't stop this, you can reflect during your minute of hate about how exactly Canada slid into communism. Because this is what's going on. A lexicon for our time inside Bellevue House in Kingston, Ontario. And there's the back of the thing. It says colonialism, confederation, genocide, imperialism, indigenous peoples, democracy, empire, parliament, racism. This is a reimagined history to satisfy communists who are getting rid of the four olds in a really sneaky way, if you ask me. And while the government of Canada reimagines history in order to cast our first prime minister as a monster, Arif Varini is responding, but he's just one example. All of the senior cabinet ministers are responding about this, including Justin Trudeau. And he says there's no justification for shooting at a school. I condemn the attack on the base Mushka Elementary School, a Jewish girls' school in North York. This blatant and cowardly anti-Semitism aimed at children, parents, and teachers. Violence and hatred are never acceptable. So it's interesting that it seems like these events, like the hijab hoax and all of these things that all the cabinet ministers jump on right away, it seems like events are orchestrated to happen, and then they happen. And then these guys use that in order to justify further crackdowns because of anti-Semitism or whatever it is. So the fact that somebody's shooting at a Jewish school at 5 o'clock in the morning on a weekend, kind of weird, right? I believe it was like overnight, early morning when the shooting happened. And it gives them something to talk about that is actually doesn't have any material impact on anything else. It's like you're in the middle of watching a television show series and you're like 10 or 12 episodes in, and episode 7's a bottle episode that doesn't move anything forward. You're just learning about the characters and you're like, forget it, move to the next episode. Nothing happens in this episode. It's bullshit. Some of the best character work maybe, but come on, right? Like nobody needs to watch this. We want to find out what happened. Like they leave it on a cliffhanger and then do a bottle episode and you're like, come on, really? A bottle episode about two characters who had nothing to do with anything at all. And then you watch it because whatever, right? And then 2 episodes later, they get back to the main story that you were actually interested in. But they never get back to the main story. These people just use this as a problem, reaction, solution, right? They're saying, oh my gosh, look at this anti-Semitism. The reaction is we have to crack down on this. And what do? I mean, you put farmers in jail, right? Like you put those evil gun-toting legal gun owners in prison to stop this anti-Semitism, obviously, or whatever. Right? But they'll use it to justify something, some kind of crackdown. Here is just something kind of shocking. And we've been talking about lawcraft and how the United States is tying up Donald Trump, putting the legal version of an ankle bracelet on him, to quote AOC. And Wall Street Apes highlights Merrick Garland. Not Merrick Garland. Somebody who's a finance director for Donald Trump trying to fundraise, and he's being told by big donors that if they donate to Trump, they're going to have the FBI visit them. So what? That's pretty crazy. That's crazy, right? How do you compete in that kind of situation? It's like you don't. So here is the finance director for Trump's campaign, and he's talking about this.
I'm finance director for Donald Trump in Mississippi, so we raise money. I've talked to a number of very wealthy individuals that God has blessed that say, I can't give money to Donald Trump because the FBI would show up at my door.
Wow.
And think of what you just said. If you make a legitimate, honest campaign contribution to the Republican nominee for president, the FBI will come to your door. And they acknowledge that's a reality.
In the United States of America.
In the United States of America. I'm finance director for Donald Trump in Mississippi. So
that's pretty wild, right? Lawcraft, lawfare to prevent your opponents from being able to wage a campaign against you. And this is not just happening against Donald Trump. Like I'll tell you right now, it's not just happening against Trump. It happens against people who have, YouTube videos they make in the garage or whatever. For real. Global news. I'm not saying I'm like Donald Trump or anything like that. I'm just saying the censorship tactics are from small fries like me to big fries like Donald Trump. And they use more sophisticated, more expensive tactics on people like Donald Trump because he's got more resources, right? So for me, they can just shut me down. Trump, I don't think they can just shut down his social media, so they have to do more, right? Easy. Global News is reporting Canada's National Intelligence Agency is warning that, quote, inspired lone actors could target crowded or unsecured pride events and LGBTQ2 venues this year. Right? Like, oh my gosh. Oh no. And I don't want anybody to be attacked. But it's interesting that you can have like a pro-Hamas group of people attack people, and that doesn't get any kind of coverage. You can have macheted African migrants attack people. That doesn't kind of get any coverage or anything like that. But if you say, something mean to a gay person, or if you pull down a pride flag, that's a hate crime. Get them, the police, right? How dare you misgender me, ma'am, right? Come on. So it's pretty crazy, right? Like, oh no, CSIS is really worried that somebody might get violent against a man pretending to be a woman. I'm pretty sure he can defend himself. He's thought this through. Have you not seen Crocodile Dundee? So weird, right? It's not meant to protect anybody. It is narrative building in order to justify cracking down on the, quote, right-wing extremists who target, the poor, helpless gays. And none of that's true. Right-wing extremists don't care one way or the other. If you're gay, all they care about is if you're trying to groom their children. That's what they care about, right? And the whole Pride season, I think it should be completely defunded. If I was in charge of the government, I would defund Pride, and I would take away funding from cities if they funded Pride. Period. And not to say that we shouldn't celebrate gay people, but if government is funding it, we should be underpinning national unity. We should be underpinning the family. We should be encouraging people. It should be like a maypole. Let's all dance around the maypole. You know why they did that? Right? Right? I can explain it later. But fundamentally, we should have celebrations that are funded by government for everyone, not for a small sub-niche of people, regardless of whether you say it's prideful. Pride is one of the deadly sins, and pride is voracious sin. It eats everything else. You should listen to C.S. Lewis talk about pride. Hold on, I'm gonna link it. According to C.S. Lewis, pride is the biggest sin because it is voracious and will continue to consume and consume and consume until there's nothing left. So that's why pride is the worst sin or the greatest sin, because it will eat all the others, so say C.S. Lewis. So I think that's interesting, and I think that it's funny when you get this thing, to push pride, and the reality of the situation is you're pushing somebody to consume and consume and consume until it's all gone and there's nothing left. Pride. It's worth a listen. It's 21 minutes, but in double time, it's 10 and a half minutes. So there you go. Let's move on. Steve's talking about the WHO. Are you ready for the bird flu, right? And Steve says, this is straight from the CDC website. Bird flu, here they go again, telling you that there may be no symptoms, yet may cause high levels of mortality. Now, there's a former CNN person who pushed jabs, and the day before she died, she had no symptoms whatsoever. It seemed people were posting pictures of her the day before she died. She had done some kind of panel or something like that, and she was smiling with her colleagues, coworkers. I don't know if it was at CNN or like if she'd moved on or something like that. But there was images of her the day before she died, and she looked healthy as a horse. And then done, bingo, bango, bongo, she's dead. And everybody's saying she seemed really healthy, and she's 58, right? She seems super healthy. Asymptomatic what now, right? And so what are they going to do? They're going to say this is bird flu. She drank milk. She drank milk, and the bird flu transmitted to the cows. The cows infected the milk. The milk killed the woman. You can't eat chocolate. What happened? Right? It's a slippery slope. Milk goes into chocolate, right? You have to have milk to make chocolate. Okay. Although avian influenza A viruses usually do not infect people, there have been some rare cases of human infection with these viruses. Illnesses in humans from avian influenza virus infections have ranged in severity from no symptoms or mild illness to severe disease that resulted in death. Right? So, of course I'm sick right now. No, I don't get sick. You can honestly look every single day for the last 5 years, most of the days. And I think I can count on one hand the days that I've been kind of croaky. So that's weird, right? Isn't that weird? That's strange. I don't get sick. I'm not sad about that. I'm just saying that's a little weird, right? Kelly says, leaked meeting, Theresa Tam and the H5N1 launch. This is the bird flu launch. They're trying to make bird flu happen. And it's not going to happen. Like, stop trying to make this happen. It's not going to happen. If COVID didn't do it, bird flu is not going to do it, right? Give me the mad cow burger now. And the bird flu milk, yep. Big old glass.
The purpose of the call is really to bring together the 4 public health agencies, the public health agency and the 3 provincial ones, at the start of what we think might be an interesting moment in the HPAI trajectory, the avian influenza H5N1, really taking into account the lessons learned about enhanced surveillance, epidemiologic studies, and scientific endeavors.
We had an overview from CFIA of the enhanced poultry surveillance, as well as some of their plans related to cattle and milk, and Dawn will speak to that. And we also had a presentation from the UK Health Security Agency around their asymptomatic human surveillance pilot, which has been ongoing for a number of months, and their lead investigator presented. We do intend on upping the tempo of those meetings. Dawn, I would invite you to chime in on some of the enhanced surveillance activities going on by CFIA and also our existing instruments for that.
Don Shepherd, Vice President for Infectious Diseases and Vaccination Programs, PHAC, outlines why they need to develop an assay for H5N1 to get everything ready in the event that some testing comes back positive.
Good morning, colleagues. For those who don't know me, Don Shepherd. I'm the Vice President for the Infectious Diseases and Vaccination Programs branch at the agency. And the big questions are how far to go and in what populations, and then with what techniques, and whether this is a molecular-based program, molecular plus serosurveillance. In the serosurveillance space, there's lots of technical questions about, is there an assay? What kind of an assay? How robust is it? How do you validate an assay in the absence of serum from humans with H5N1 disease, which, as we all know, we don't have a large number of, and we have no access to that serum from people with bovine exposures, at least at this point. So a lot to be worked out in that space, and a lot of conversations and work going on to develop that. As a minimum, we feel protocol development, having everything ready in the event that
the purpose of the
So talking about not having any kind of stuff with from humans with infections from bovine or anything like that. We don't have that, so we've got to come up with something to do in case we see that. All this stuff, it seems like they're trying to move their pieces into position in order to play the bird flu card, right? Like you're in a Pokemon game and they've got to get a bunch of cards down before they can play this card, and you've got to stop them with your cards. I worked with kids for a while. Odessa says, clip 4, this is another clip that someone else did regarding the leaked Zoom meeting of Theresa Tam, talking about bird flu agenda. So very interesting. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to canadapoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful